Upoznajte Antonija Hollanda, dirigenta i doktora glazbene kulture na koledžu Skidmore u Saratoga Springsu u američkoj saveznoj državi New York. Život mu se promijenio kada je saznao za bioelektrični uređaj američkog inženjera Royala Raymonda Riffa koji je nastao tijekom 1930-ih. Fascinirala ga je tvrdnja da je uređaj mogao odašiljanjem radiofrekvencije uništavati mikroorganizme. Tako je uspostavio kontakt s izumiteljem Jamesom Barreom koji danas izrađuje uređaje po Riffovim zamislima.
Dr. Baer's device is a special type of radio frequency transmitter that utilizes amplitude modulated signals. What that means is if the wave has a certain height or size, the size of that wave will be changed in time very rapidly, so we are modulating the amplitude. But he had a very unique approach to amplitude modulation. He modulates the amplitude so much, more than any radio engineer would modulate it, to the point where the signal actually shuts off briefly. And the net result is he gets a series of pulses of radio frequency, so RF pulses, and it turns out that the biological effects caused by Dr. Baer's device seem to be very much connected to these pulses caused by this overmodulation.
Uređaj odašilje frekvenciju od 27 MHz. Unutar te frekvencije utiskuju se različiti niskofrekventni signali. Budući da je Anthony bio stručnjak za sintetičke tonove, s uređajem je spojio generator frekvencija kako bi mogao manipulirati s utisnutim signalima.
So if I send in 440 Hertz or 440 vibrations per second, the signal of the radio frequency carrier, the 27.12 megahertz carrier, will be modulated up and down 440 times a second. So this is how the operator of Dr. Baer's device has some control over it, and it turns out that the frequencies that I select to put into his transmitter very much control the final output that come out of the antenna. I should mention the antenna for this device is a very special antenna. It's a glass sphere. It's partially evacuated, and then it's backfilled or filled with a little bit of helium gas. And what happens is the pulsing radio frequencies are sent into this sphere, and they cause the helium gas to light up in like a fluorescent light, really. And when helium gas is electrified, it's called a plasma. And when you have a glass ball with a plasma that is pulsing inside of it, it acts like a special type of radio transmitter.
Antoniju je trebalo 15 mjeseci intenzivnih pokusa da pronađe pravi splet frekvencija koje dovode do uništenja mikroorganizama.
And one day, to my great surprise and delight, when I added the 11th harmonic of the original frequency, the blepharisma just shattered under the microscope like a crystal glass. It was unbelievable, and later I showed it to many of my colleagues in the biology department where I'm a professor. I'm a music professor, and I went to the biology department and I said, look at this video, and they all said the same thing. We have never seen anything like that. That's incredible. The way the organism literally shatters from one end to the other and breaks up into many, many small pieces and is destroyed, basically.
Upoznajte doktora Jonathana Brodija, jednog od vodećih istraživača raka. Prije svoje medicinske karijere bio je student glazbene kulture. 19 godina poslije ponovno se sreo sa svojim starim profesorom glazbe Antonijem Hollandom. Anthony mu je pokazao snimke pokusa na kojima uništava mikroorganizme s Riffovim uređajem. Brodija je to toliko zainteresiralo pa je predložio da pokušaju uništiti stanice raka u laboratoriju sveučilišta Thomas Jefferson u Filadelfiji.
And one night in the lab, Dr. Brody phoned me very, very late, and he said, we did a double analysis, two separate lab experts, and he was one of them actually. He himself personally counted the cells in this leukemia experiment, and the other person who counted had 2 doctorates, and he said, you are killing at least, on average, 25 to 30% of the leukemia cells using your electric fields. And he told me the next day when we got together, he said, first of all, he said, this is impossible. It's not in any of the literature. It can't be done. So I don't know how it can be. I don't know what you're doing, but it's impossible. And it's so impossible that even if you could do it again and again and again, 6 more times with 5 different types of cancer cells, and every time you killed 30%, he said, I don't know if we could publish it because nobody would believe it in my field. There's nothing like it. If you were a large pharmaceutical company and you spent millions of dollars developing a new drug to kill leukemia cells, and you found out you were killing 25 to 30%, it's a major home run. It's a huge victory for the pharmaceutical company, but we didn't use any drugs or any radiation. It was all done with Dr. Baer's device. I was convinced this has to get out to the world. People have to know we can kill. We've have data saying that between 30 and 60, and on top of that, we were slowing their growth rate by another 20%. So we can slow it down, we can kill a huge percentage, and those were just preliminary tests.
No, koji mehanizam uzrokuje takvo uništenje mikroorganizama? Članci iz ovoga područja tek se odnedavno objavljuju u znanstvenim časopisima. Postoji nekoliko teorija.
Our team, which includes Professor Gérard Dubost of France, who's an expert in the effects of electromagnetic fields on biological organisms. He has many published papers, and he's also an expert in plasma. So he's been tremendously helpful in the papers we have written. And actually, his calculations show what's happening is the frequencies that we're sending into the cancer cells are actually matching the precise length of these tiny tubules. These microtubules have a certain length, and that can be measured under the microscope. And that means that if you can impose a wave that fits exactly along the length of that tiny little microtubule, and you can maintain that wave for a certain amount of time, the vibration will get larger and larger, and eventually the tube will be broken.
Dr. Brody planirao je napisati znanstveni članak o tom revolucionarnom otkriću, no brinule su ga potencijalne kritike kolega iz znanstvene zajednice. Ako bi podaci pokazali bilo kakvu grešku, bio bi to kraj njegove karijere. Neprestano je odlagao objavljivanje zahtijevajući nove pokuse. No, Anthony je uložio mjesece vlastitog vremena i novca, pa je odlučio okrenuti novi list. Osnovao je neprofitnu organizaciju Novo Biotronics.
Here's a little picture of leukemia cells, and you start off with 3 leukemia cells, and over the course of time, 2 of the cells are completely shattered into tiny fragments. Now, when people start seeing that kind of thing, then they realize, yeah, this is real. This actually works, but we need help. So we started a company. I put the data up on the website, and we are appealing to the public for financial assistance. And in fact, right now, we are running an online fundraiser through a company called Indiegogo. And if you go to Indiegogo and you search under Stop the Suffering of Children, that's what we're calling our fundraiser. Help us stop the suffering of children with cancer. If we can raise about $27,000 US, we will be able to buy the key components of equipment needed to get back to our cancer research. One of our goals is that this next round of cancer research will lead to a formal publication in an official peer-reviewed cancer journal where, let's say, scientists who are a little bit more brave are willing to put their reputation on the line because they're going to see firsthand we can destroy cancer cells.